rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'm going to ask that everybody mute their electronic devices, lest they go beep in the night. I believe we have a quorum. Madam Clerk, can you confirm that?
I confirm the presence of a quorum.
Very good. We also have an agenda that's been circulated, and unless there is an objection, I'm going to move some things around here. I'm basically moving 3 items up to the top of the agenda following the approval of the minutes. And that is because this involves people who may have friends, neighbors, here for a specific occasion, and they may not wish to sit through all of the titillating details of our meeting. So I'm going to move up ordinance 2023-55. We have some new firefighters joining us. Thank you, Chief. And resolution 2023-25. And this will be a plaque for a resident who unfortunately passed away. And then we have resolution 2023-26, a verbal resolution for the appointment of James Wesselman to the Urban Forestry Board. So with those changes, I'd like to proceed with the minutes. And those minutes have been circulated. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes as circulated?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We turn now to ordinance 2023-55, an ordinance appointing Glendale volunteer firefighters, establishing a 1-year probationary period, and declaring an emergency. Chief, can you give us some background here?
Sure. Like you said, Mayor, we have 2 gentlemen getting sworn in tonight. First, I'll introduce Robert Booth. Robert Booth, born and raised in Cincinnati, currently lives in Cheviot with his wife and 2 boys, Sierra, Jude, and Alfie. And he's looking to get in the fire service, set a role model for his boys, and he's excited to have his boys call his dad firefighter. So we're looking forward to have Mr. Booth on board. And the second gentleman coming in tonight is James Nelson. James is coming back to the fire department after a few years off. He has 15 years experience in the fire service. Currently a firefighter, paramedic, and fire inspector for Deer Park, Silverton Joint Fire District. So he's very familiar with our policies in our village and will be able to hit the ground running. His plan is to be around during the day to help with offsetting some of that coverage, and with his experience and skills being a paramedic, he can offer first aid pretty quickly if need be. So we're happy to have them both on.
Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
For ordinance 2023-55, to dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Ms. Duke.
Aye.
Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemith.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
For ordinance 2023-55, Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Ms. Duke.
Aye.
Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemith.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now for the fun part of my job, I get to swear in our new firefighters. So I would ask that they come through the gate there, and if they wish, there's somebody that they wish to have something pinned on them or something, I suppose we can arrange that too.
Just come on up, guys. Yep.
Well, be as painless as possible here. I'm just going to ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do hereby swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of volunteer firefighter
the duties of volunteer firefighter
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Welcome on, sir. Happy to have you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Like I say, that's the fun part of the job. And next, we're turning to Resolution 2023-25. This is a resolution accepting the donation and approving the installation of a plaque commemorating a late Glendale resident, Cynthia Brown, to be located on the bench near 21 Village Square. Mr. Lumsden, can you give us some background here?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. So following Ms. Brown's passing in early October, received a request from a friend of hers and a friend of her family's that a plaque, a copy of which was included in the packet, be installed on a public bench located near 21 Village Square. For reference, this is the bench that Ms. Brown frequently sat at in the square, was adorned with flowers over the last few weeks following her passing. They asked that the plaque be installed on that bench to commemorate her and her contributions to the village. And according to the Public Places and Properties naming policy that was passed by council, reviewed her request, and found it to be a fitting use of the policy and a fitting reason to dedicate piece of personal or property, piece of public property in her honor, and issued a note of recommendation that was included in the council packet. And we're here at the final stage of the process, which is official council approval of the installation of the plaque.
Do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And this motion, this ordinance or resolution does require one friendly amendment here in the third whereas clause. At the end of the first line, approval is required. I believe the word for should be inserted in there. Do I have a motion for that amendment?
So moved. Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the ordinance, resolution is now amended. Is there any discussion?
I just wanted to point out fondly that I think Ms. Brown was one of the first to call to our attention the inappropriateness of the new fireworks law that had passed in the state, and which we ended up then changing because of its lack of suitability in our historic community. So I appreciate her having done that for our community.
So passionately.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that she sent a letter thanking the village and council for taking that on. So she's a fine person, and we will miss her. Is there
Mr.
any
Mayor?
further discussion?
Yes, I'd like to add my voice to it, and I appreciate several residents who have spoken with me so favorably about Mrs. Brown Ms. Brown, that I still sort of see her face sitting on that bench. So I am wholeheartedly in favor of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Madam Clerk?
For Resolution 2023-25, Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Ms. Duke.
Aye.
Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We turn now to Resolution verbal Resolution 2023-26. And this is a resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of James Wesselman to the Urban Forestry Board for a term ending January 1st, 2026. By way of background, I'm going to introduce this resolution and say that I worked with the chair of the Urban Forestry Board, Arlene Howeller, and we had two very well-qualified candidates come forward. And among ourselves, we decided that Mr. Wesselman was the right fit. He has a degree in biology. He has a history of volunteer work for the Great Parks Organization. And one thing that I liked was that he had previously come forward and volunteered to serve on a village body. And for reasons, we decided on someone else, but he came back. And I really like to see that dedication to public service. And I feel very good about having him come aboard. So do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Madam Clerk?
For verbal resolution 2023-26, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler,
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. And with that, I get to swear in somebody else tonight. Raise your hand. State your name. I state your name.
James R. Wilson,
Do hereby swear
do ever swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
the duties of member of the Urban Forestry Board of Glendale,
the duties of the
Urban Forestry
Forestry Board
of Glendale,
of Glendale,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God. Yeah. Thanks. Congratulations.
Welcome, thank you.
Thanks for persisting.
We'll have to be able to pronounce it. It was a long title. Sorry about it. All right, now we're going to take up items in their proper order in the agenda and turn to, well, no, we won't. We're going to start with public comments, and so I invite anybody who wishes to address the village to come forward, village council to come forward.
Did we approve the minutes?
I think we did.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, we did.
Becky,
We
did
did.
we approve the minutes?
We did,
Put them out
yeah,
there, we
yes.
did, yeah.
Very
We
good.
did.
So we did.
Did we? Oh,
Yes,
Becky.
the minutes are approved. Yes,
Okay.
you're good.
He was so efficient.
Yes. I thought we did that. I was paying attention to Kathy.
My name is Kevin Parrish, resident of Village of Glendale. I had several topics to address this evening. One, for clarification of the Summit Park situation. Many residents are unclear about the mosquito infestation that is in that park. Well, when you have standing water in any area, mosquitoes are bred. I told you guys about this over 5 years ago, that the blockage from the entryway of Summit to Van Ness, 4 manhole covers were totally blocked, documented. And yet you have done nothing about that. The GCIC in past meeting said and declared Summit Park a swamp area. That was their assessment. During the Park and Recreation's negotiation with the Brock Foundation. They entered into negotiations to try to address the water issue of the blockage that exists in this park. And the only reason that the Brock Foundation did not get that park is because they found out that it was more extensive than what they wanted to contribute. So for residents that are unclear about that, if you think the park is being used, you can put in a public records request to Parks and Recreation to see who is renting the park for parties or for sports events. Possibly, if the public records are current, you might get some response as to the lack of usage of this park. Also, David, you said that the CMOM was on the Glendale website. They are not on the Glendale website. But for any resident who wants to see the CMOM reports that are reported to the Ohio EPA in conjunction with the strategic plan, you can contact the Ohio EPA and they will direct you to not only the current CMOMs, but past CMOM reports. And you will have insight and updated knowledge of what is going on. I'm confused with this administration as to the lack of concern for residents' health and safety when it comes to our water issues here. You have people whose basements are being flooded every time it rains, and yet you have not addressed this infrastructure problem correctly. Although the fire department comes and aids and gets the water out of the basement, you cannot get contamination under control without controlling the moisture. People are living with this condition for years, and that should tell you something about our infrastructure and our pipes. Our strategic plan doesn't even touch the problem here because it is a massive problem. In 2005, the EPA recommended that we address the wastewater treatment plant because it was inadequate to handle the regular water that it was supposed to process. That isn't even addressing the 120-year pipes and deterioration that we have on our system now. What we have here for the strategic plan to even start to be effective is a massive overhaul of our system. Replacement of the wastewater treatment plant is mandatory.
You have about a minute.
And it just saddens me that we're more concerned with time quotes than trying to hear what the public is saying. It saddens me to look at you guys month after month and see the same expressions of non-concern when you have people that are getting ready to start dying because of the contamination they've been exposed to from the neglect of this administration for decades. People put up with that in silence. But this silent killer that is in their house will surface. These are dangerous times for our system here, which is just badly neglected. And so I come here month after month to document, to put documentation on this site here that is recorded accurately to show that when you knew and why you didn't do anything, so you will be held accountable for the actions that you did not take. Thank you.
For the record, we have responded to Mr. Parrish on many of the issues he raises, and we don't do it every week, every month. We're going to go to, does anybody else wish to address council?
Yes.
About this situation or no? I have issue about chickens.
Okay, come on up.
Come on, yeah,
Come
please
on.
come to the podium.
I have photos for everybody. I want you to look at.
Okay.
Do you want to bring them?
What do you have here?
Photos. Photos of my situation. I was told I could.
Why don't you just tell us about your situation, and then we can figure out how we're gonna handle it, because in many cases, it's going to be, sent either to a council committee or to somebody in the village government.
Miss Marsh has some handouts that are gonna be relevant to her presentation,
Okay.
that she'd just like to have council
Photos that
have an
I think
opportunity
are
to.
necessary if you understand the situation,
Okay.
how bad it's been. I asked her how I was told I could.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll go fast, I'll try to rush through it.
Thank you.
The photos are numbered, so I'll go through them quickly.
Sure.
I now realize 5 minutes goes very fast. So I'll just go quickly then. I live at 1031 Morse Avenue, and I put a map in here where I live. It's not accurate, but it's close. It shows my neighbor behind me got chickens. She had chickens last year, but she only had like 3 or 4 of them, and she had a very small coop, which is the first picture, picture number 1. I do not remember any odors or flies or gnats. This year, she got more chickens. I'm just gonna change one. I'm gonna do it quickly for you since you don't want to hear everything. It expanded her chicken coop to like a compound, as you can see in photo number 2. It's very messy. I don't think it looks nice. If you go through to photo number 5, you can see that she never cleaned the poop out. It smelled, we had flies, gnats flying around. I have videos of that. The code enforcement officer, Doug, he came to my house and saw the videos. He looked at the chicken coop and said it was unacceptable. It was odors. My neighbor and his wife could not sit out at their fire pit or sit on their swing because it smelled so bad. And like I said, I was having flies and gnats in my yard right next to the fence over on my porch. And I could smell the odors also. Pictures 5, 6, 7 show the poop. And some of those are flies, but you can't tell the difference in a picture. In a video that I have, you can. The chicken coop should be cleaned out so it does not smell. If you read about it, it says that they can be cleaned out once a day, once a week, once a month. It depends on how close you are to neighbors, how many chickens you have, like how the wind blows, if it's hot outside, if it's not hot outside, if it's rainy. So all that makes a difference of how often. She did not clean the chicken coop out for 3 months at all. And so it's a big issue. Also, if you look at photo number 8, things just laying around, 8 and 9, she would just throw things in the yard and they would just sit there for several weeks. If you go to look at picture number 10, 11, 12, those show you, and 13, she also was not providing fresh, clean water for them. At times they had no water. The week that was 90 degrees out, which was like the week of August 21st, she let the water sit in the sun. And I have 3 pictures of that on my phone. I only have one here for you with the red line. The water kept getting lower. It was never changed. It was never cooled. The chickens had to try to get their head down into it. She would just let it sit there. You're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to have fresh water every day. They're supposed to have cool water once or twice a day. There were times when the water bucket would tip over. One day from 10 o'clock to 5:30 on a 90-some degree day, they had very little shade and no water. I had contacted her several times about this, and this happened over a period of time. This was not just like a one-time thing either. If you continue, you can see the watering can sit in the sun. They get scum in them, they had flies on them, and then she would use that water because the chicken coop was so far away from her house, she didn't want to walk up and get water out of there. And I'm kind of going fast for you. If you look at picture number 14, the shade was also an issue. There were times the chickens had like 1 foot by 2 foot of shade for 4 or 5 chickens. On a day it was 90 degrees out with little or no water or warm water.
You have about a minute.
I contacted her several times about that, and the problem is with the tarps, if you don't move them correctly, the sun can go underneath them, and then the chickens hardly have any shade. And that was another issue. The tarps would fall off, the tarps would fly around. Sometimes she would forget to put them on, sometimes she would put them on. And so that was an issue also. And if you look at the photos from 15, 16, 17, and 18, you can see the chickens suffering because they have not enough adequate shade. 20 is just the tarps laying all around. 21 just shows you how bad they look. They look like a homeless camp. There were birds coming in and eating the feed that was left on the ground. So the code enforcement officer, Doug, came and made her move them. If you look at number 25, after she moved them, she left the poop and stuff there. She didn't even clean that up after it was moved. Number 26 is where back in the bushes she was throwing things from the chicken that she didn't want to deal with and carry up and put away. 27 shows after the code enforcement officer came and she cleaned it out one time. She put the poop and the bedding in the pile back there, which
Ms. Marsh, you're
defeats
gonna
the
have to
whole
wrap this
purpose.
up.
That's fine. I just have one quick thing to say.
Sure.
My cousin's a realtor, and she also said that this is my porch that I used to be able to enjoy. I can't enjoy it anymore because I'm looking at that all the time. She said that this will affect people buying anybody else's house around hers because it looks so bad. She said if they have a nice, neat chicken coop or a nice, neat shed or a nice, neat play set, people don't mind that. But when they see something like this, they're worried, what else is someone going to put in their yard that they can't control?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Just let me ask you a question here.
Sure.
You have contacted the village about this?
Yes,
problem?
the code
And
enforcement
the code
officer
enforcement
came.
officer has come out? Well, I think I'm gonna have to find out a little bit more about that subject, and I can't do it here. So I'm gonna have to talk with our administrator, and we can figure out what the next step should be.
Can I just say one thing? She did move it, but it doesn't matter where it's moved to. We're still smelling things because it's not being cleaned out enough.
Got it.
So,
I'd like to just ask a question, David.
Yes.
Is there a code that applies to fowl in the village?
So the property owner at 400 was notified by mail. I personally sent a letter because this does fall outside of NIC's code enforcement jurisdiction regarding the animals section of our code, which pertains to noxious odors and unsanitary conditions. And it was my understanding that the chickens had been moved at that
Yes.
point. It was my understanding, and it appears it was incorrect, that the odor situation had been handled by the moving of the chickens. So further investigation of this and perhaps strengthening of that ordinance language to improve the situation for the keeping of chickens is a worthwhile pursuit, I would say.
I would think so too.
Okay. And that's what we're gonna do. We will take this up within the village government, and if we need legislative action, we will take it to the right committee of council.
I'm sorry, one more question?
Sure.
Approximately how close is this chicken coop stuff to the fence, the fence in the back?
surprisingly enough, I measured from my porch to my fence, which is about 33 feet. And it looks like it's about that same distance from my fence to where she moved it. The problem is, I don't think she's cleaning it out enough. Also,
Okay.
the wind blows from the west to the east, and we can smell it. The chickens are gone now. Last year, she took them to her daughters. This year, she must have taken them to her daughters, and then she gets new ones in the spring. But she moved one of the coops again back near, so it's just, there's a lot of issues there.
Thank you.
And I'd be glad to discuss them with somebody at another time if someone would like to, So, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, no,
Thank you.
thank you for bringing this to our attention. Okay. Does anybody else wish to address council? Hearing no one, we're going to turn to, ordinance 2023-56, an ordinance authorizing amendment of the 2023 estimated revenues and appropriations of the general fund and declaring an emergency. Mr. Lumsden, can you give us some background here?
Thank you, Mayor. In October, the village was awarded a $35,000 grant from Hamilton County Public Health for improving community engagement and resiliency following COVID-19. And the application was submitted to complete sidewalk grinding in over 600 individual locations throughout the village. The work like this was completed in 2018, 2019 by the same contractor, Precision Concrete Cutting, and it eliminates what are known as trip hazards, which are differences in sidewalk height over 1/4 of an inch. Those will be ground smooth, which eliminates the need to pull the sidewalk panels up, maybe clear out roots, and then re-pour the panels, which can be very expensive. The village funded the work in 2018, 2019, and now thanks to this grant, the village is able to get the complete project done, which is just shy of $48,000 for a net impact of $13,000, which general fund reserves will be used to fund that, and then the grant funding will come as a reimbursement to the village once the work's complete. Current timeline is to have this work done before the end of the year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
Congratulations on the grant.
Thank you.
Yeah. This, I mean, it did cost us 2 or 3 times the $13,000 that we're paying now for the previous time I remember it, but it was a very successful project, and it eliminated the trip hazards and also obviated a need for the village to actually dig up concrete and pour new concrete. Madam Clerk?
For ordinance 2023-56, to dispense with the 3 reads, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Baseman,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler,
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
For ordinance 2023-56, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Baseman,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler,
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
Very good. We turn now to ordinance 2023-57, an ordinance authorizing amendment of the 2023 appropriations of the general fund and declaring an emergency. Mr. Lumsden.
Thank you, Mayor. This ordinance is just a small amount of housekeeping as we get to the end of the year and finalize all of our projects and expenditures. In preparation of the 2023 budget, there were 2 projects: the St. Edmunds water feature aerator replacement, and then the new water fountain at Cleveland Park. They were included on a capital sheet it was circulated to the Recreation Committee and Council, and everyone is aware the projects were being completed. Unfortunately, the total appropriation didn't actually make it up into the end of the final year budget. So it was a Excel formula error. Apologize for that. But this ordinance does correct that and gets our appropriations back in line with what the committee and council had approved.
Do I have a motion for the ordinance?
So moved. Second.
And a motion to dispense with 3 reads?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
Yes, David, is it your understanding that the water fountain, the new water fountain, has been installed in the Cleveland Avenue Playground?
It is my understanding that, yes, it has been installed.
And is it your understanding that the water feature in St. Edmunds Pond, that repair work has been done?
I know it has been ordered. I'm not sure because it was ordered in, let's say it was in August or September, before we had additional staffing with Public Works Department. But I'm not sure if it's been installed as of yet, but I anticipate that it will be installed before the end of the year, if not yet.
Okay, my questions really go to work that we authorized to be done, which should have been done, but was not done, versus work which remains to be done, and has been paid for, or at least the money is being authorized, appropriated for it.
So the expenses for the installation of these items are their general or their regular operations. There are street department employees. They're the ones performing the work. So the expense is the purchasing of this equipment, which was done with existing appropriations. But in order to get the budget back to where it needed to be at the beginning of the year, what council approved in December of last year, the appropriations need to be increased.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Madam Clerk?
For ordinance 2023,
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I live on Cleveland Avenue. If there was a water fountain installed on the playground, where was it installed?
It would have been installed down by the sidewalk, where the sidewalk to the playground and the sidewalk at the street meet.
Okay, I don't think it was installed, but I may have missed it, but
Okay.
thank you.
And I took pictures of that park and playground, and I won't take the time to look at the photos now, but I'm very interested in following up and making sure that the new water fountain has in fact been installed. The last time I recall seeing it, it had not, and
Okay.
I may be mistaken.
It will certainly be installed if it has not yet been, but it will certainly be installed.
Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Madam Clerk?
for ordinance 2023-57, to dispense with the three reads. Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Ms. Duke.
Aye.
Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
For ordinance 2023-57, Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Ms. Duke.
Aye.
Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We turn to ordinance 2023-58, an ordinance authorizing the amendment of the 2023 appropriations of the Police Department Gift Fund and declaring an emergency. Between you two, who wants it?
Thanks, Chief. So the Police Department Gift Fund is a special revenue fund that's funded by donations made to the department by generous residents, organizations, businesses in the village, and is used for materials and supplies that are outside the general fund operations of the department. In this instance, these appropriations, my understanding, is to be used for promotional apparel and materials for police officers that are on the department. So we're increasing the available appropriations to make them available for the police chief to order those materials using these donated funds.
Motion for the ordinance.
So moved. Second.
And dispense with three reads.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Madam Clerk?
For ordinance 2023-58, to dispense with the three reads. Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Ms. Duke.
Aye.
Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
For ordinance 2023-58, Mr. Bessel.
Aye.
Ms. Duke.
Aye.
Ms. Masenko.
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth.
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler.
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. We turn now to resolution 2023-23, a resolution adopting the 2023 Hamilton County Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan and accepting the responsibility to implement said plan's recommendations within funding limitations. Mr. Lumsden, can you explain this one?
Thank you, Mayor. As they do every 5 years, Hamilton County Emergency Management and Homeland Security is updating the county's multi-hazard mitigation plan. Earlier this year, I met with representative from Hamilton County EMA, mayor, police and fire chiefs to go over potential hazards that the village may face, from ecological disasters to civil unrest, other kinds of situations that may never come to pass in Glendale, but some that are a very real threat to the village. We evaluated those threats and evaluated the impact that they would have on the village, and then those were used to inform the county's plan, which is then sent to the state and federal governments for approval and inclusion in those national and state and national plans. So this action, which village took in 2018, to approve the plan at that time is due for renewal this year with their new 5-year plan.
Do I have
Thank
a
you.
motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Madam Clerk?
For excuse me, for Resolution 2023-23, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
Aye.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler,
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
We turn now to Resolution 2023-24, a resolution denying Cynthia Taylor's appeal of a decision of the Glendale Planning and Historic Preservation Commission regarding the approval of a new single-family home at 3 Rogan Drive with conditions. And council will recall that this matter was before us at the October meeting, at which council voted 4-2 for the denial of the appeal here. And what we're really doing now is just committing that denial to writing, which is, you will find attached to the resolution. Do I have a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
For Resolution 2023-24, Mr. Bessel,
Aye.
Ms. Duke,
No.
Ms. Masenko,
Aye.
Mr. Basemuth,
Aye.
Mr. Kreidler,
Aye.
Ms. Baldridge.
Aye.
Thank you.
Concludes our ordinances and resolutions. We turn now to the reports from the mayor, village administrator, standing committees, and clerk and treasurer. Starting with the mayor's report, unfortunately, we had no births reported to us. We did have some deaths. We had the death of Nicholas Joseph Monifo, Jr., age 76, who passed away on September 25th. And we had the death of Cynthia Brown, age 69, who passed away on October 7th, 2023, and in whose memory we had previously at this meeting agreed to place a plaque on a bench in the village square. I have a very difficult one coming up here, so just bear with me. We just found out yesterday that the wife of the chairman of our planning commission, Tom Bridenstine, his wife Melissa Missy Bridenstine, passed away yesterday on Sunday, November 5th, suddenly for medical reasons, and we don't know much more than that, but I'm including her in our acknowledgements, at least for now. And so I would ask that we now have a moment of silence. May they rest in peace. Going on, we had a public forum that was held on October 5th to discuss the Glendale Strategic Plan. There will be another public meeting coming up in the relatively near future, which I trust will be before year end. And there will also be a survey of residents, because what we find is that the people who come to public meetings are passionate and informed, and they give us some great information, but they're not always representative of the typical Glendale resident. So we're going to try to get all every bit of input that we can. October 14th, Saturday, was a busy day in Glendale. We had the pancake breakfast, and this was thanks to our firefighters who took this over quite a number of years ago from another organization. And it was a great event, and hats off and thanks to Ryan Turnley and the other firefighters who made this all possible. Then that evening, there was a determined, enthusiastic, and a group undaunted by the rain that met in Floral Park to dedicate the Glendale Arboretum. And I was there, read the proclamation that had been circulated to council for their signatures, and it was a great event, and I think it's going to be a wonderful project for the village. The installation of the new water meters is nearly complete. I'm not going to steal Mr. Lumsden's thunder here. I'll let him go ahead and discuss that in his report. I'm just going to say a few quick things about what was said previously about various problems in the village, or alleged problems. We have been told that there's a mosquito problem in Summit Park, yet when we asked people who actually use the park, and one of whom was with us, they do not report a mosquito problem. Are there mosquitoes in the summer in Glendale? Yeah, I think so. But they are not of something that prevents abnormal activities from going on. And yes, there has been we've identified water drainage problems in Summit Park. We are, that park is undergoing some work that may or may not help that water problem, but it's going to make it a much better park than it is now. I guess with that, I'm just going to invite, we had another resident came in with a problem that was normally something that goes to the village office, and then gets investigated, and people should feel very free to go to the people in our village office with problems in the village, with things where we might be able to help. And I think you'll find that we'll do everything we possibly can. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the clerk-treasurer. Madam Clerk? Do you have a report?
Oh, sure. We're going to be changing the process for posting approved minutes. So we have historically been posting minutes unsigned, but during the audit, those are not officially, I don't want to say sanctioned, but they're not official minutes, right?
It puts our official minutes online.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to post the minutes once they're signed online versus unsigned, which is what we have been doing for expedience. So it may take another extra day or two following the meeting. Like tonight, I will sign the minutes, Don will sign the minutes, but then we have to scan them in and get them posted versus me just popping them out there. So it might take a little bit of time, but the video is posted out there always. The agenda and everything is out there. So this is in response to trying to hit an audit box. You know.
And just to be clear, we are going to continue posting draft reports from committee meetings because they don't meet very often and meet very frequently, and it's a good thing to have them at least getting a draft of what went on, recognizing that they can be changed and likely will be changed at the next committee meeting. I know I jumped out of order here, and I apologize for that, but I'm going to just ask our treasurer to give his report.
Okay. Boy, this is great. I get to go almost first, but so everyone should have received a copy of our investment report for October. Things are looking pretty good still, and I think we still have about $70,000 to $80,000 of interest accrued that should be coming in before the end of the year. So looking good.
Okay. Now we'll go back up to the administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. As we discussed in one of the ordinances this evening, the village did receive that $35,000 grant from Hamilton County Public Health, so I'm very thankful to the county for making that funding available. They were very pleased with our application and with the project and also with the expediency that the project will be executed. We actually will be finished before the mid-project report is due to the county. So they were very pleased to hear that. Leaf removal is underway in the village. Crews are going around on their usual schedules. Reminder, we'll circulate again something in the newsletter that leaves should be stacked in nice piles away from street gutters, because when it rains, they can clog up catch basins pretty quickly and cause issues. Additionally, brush should not be mingled with leaves. That can get wrapped up in the leaf machine and damage that equipment. If residents still have brush, we ask that you containerize it and place it out for collection by Rumpke on your regular trash day. As the mayor said, the meter project is effectively complete. We have about 22 meters remaining. About half of those are vacant structures. So Sally in our office is working diligently to get those folks scheduled and get those meters replaced. A number of them are not going to be available until the new year, but we will have those replaced as soon as they're available. So our billings will be, again, more accurate and continue to be accurate, thanks to the new water meters. And then finally, I attended a Tri-State Trails meeting regarding the bike path, the hike-bike trail through the Greenbelt. Had a lot of really good discussion with other city managers, village administrators, planners, those kinds of people, talking about the project. Anticipate some questions in the strategic plan survey later this year regarding that project to get a little bit more specific public feedback on the design, the location, and details around that project. So that, unless there are questions, yes.
Back to the meters.
Mm-hmm.
22 meters remain.
Mm-hmm.
11 are vacant homes.
Yes.
Explain the other 11.
Folks that are out of town, meters that we don't have in stock.
Meters that we don't have in stock.
Correct. There are some that the supply chain just didn't come to fruition because they're abnormal sizes for a typical residential meter. Some of them are as big as 1.5 inches. Standard water meter is either 5/8 or 3/4. So
Or plastic lids to replace the cast iron stuff.
Yes,
because
that-
my house is.
yeah,
one of
that
those,
as well.
so That's
So-
gonna be coming in sometime.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it.
but we're working with those residents on an individual basis to pick those pieces up.
No surprises.
Yeah, no surprises.
Okay,
No.
thanks.
Last thing, and I just thought of this and happy to announce, NIC has started as our building department, issuing permits, performing inspections. Been very pleased with the service that they're providing and the thoroughness that they're reviewing the village's building permits that come through our office. So very happy with their work and looking forward to working with them.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you call for the committee reports?
Certainly. Finance Committee, please.
The Finance Committee has meetings set up for the end of November to go through the budgeting process. I think the majority of the various committee meetings to set their budgets will be next week, and then the week of Thanksgiving, and then that week, last week of November, we'll be meeting as a Finance Committee. That's it for Finance.
Thank you. Fire Committee, please.
Fire Committee meets this Thursday at 4, next door. And essentially to work on the budget for 2024, but also to have some updates on operating matters, including an EMS update and new fire truck update, fire hydrant program, and a few other things. So it's going to be a pretty busy meeting. And with that, I turn it over to Assistant Chief Lehrman.
Thank you. Just on behalf of the Glendale Firefighters Association, I just want to thank everyone that attended the pancake breakfast and helped us out with that. It was, in our eyes, it was a very good success, a very big benefit for the Firefighters Association, so we were happy with everyone that helped. Our fire report should be emailed to you by the end of this week. A few last-minute runs came at the end of the month, so we're just still populating that data, and we'll have that report out to you here shortly. October has been a busy month of us. As you know, it's Fire Prevention Month, so we've been doing several activities at the schools. We've had a few grades, classes come to the fire department for tours, to talk about fire safety, fire prevention. So we've been very busy with that. We also, last weekend, hosted the Ohio Fire Academy and had some instructors come in from the academy in Columbus and conduct a pump training class. So all of our drivers that pump the fire truck have all been trained. It's a 6-hour training. So we actually hosted some outside departments. City of Fairfield sent a few folks down. Green Hills sent a few folks over. Wyoming and Green Hills, if I didn't say it. So had a draw from some other neighboring departments that we work with through our mutual aid partners and that they came to Glendale to take this class. And this class was free of charge, so it did not cost us anything to get our folks trained. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Laws and claims, please.
Laws and Claims Committee did not meet, but I do understand from my solicitor that the revisions we went over and discussed in detail are pending with her for further review. Thank you.
Thank you. Police committee, please.
The police committee meets this Thursday at 1 p.m., the 9th of November, and we did not meet last month, and here is Chief Walsh.
Thank you. Everybody should have a copy of our police committee and mayor's court report. If there are any questions, feel free to ask. A couple things that worth noting this month. Beginning of the week, we had an abduction. It started as a meet on Tinder. The individual picked up the female in Springdale, brought her into Glendale. After an extensive investigation, I'm happy to say that we served a search warrant up in Butler County over the weekend. We're able to make an arrest on that male subject, male Hispanic, who was deported back in 2005, back in the country. When he got to the Justice Center, he asked how long he was going to be there because he knew he was getting deported again and wanted to know how fast he could get out so he could get back. Also,
The
victim had minor injuries. He allegedly put a gun to her head and stole her cell phone and kicked her out of the car. She's doing fine. She was able to positively identify him, so we're just waiting for the court process to start now. Also, if anybody remembers the burglary we had at the pharmacy about a year and a half ago, we've also served, with the help of Ross Township and some other agencies down in Kentucky, we've served several search warrants on cell phone providers and gathered information that put certain cell phone numbers that we've got in the location of ours in Ross Township, Westchester, in other locations. So we're close to clearing that one as well. Last, we are doing Shop of the Hero again this year, and that will be on December the 15th. If anybody would like to join us, we'd be more than happy to help you, or have you. Fire department's coming along. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Public buildings and historic preservation, please.
Public Buildings is going to meet at noon on Wednesday the 15th, November 15th. And David and Tom Alderfer are already available, so an hour meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Recreations and playgrounds, please.
We did not meet. We're meeting on the 15th at 3 o'clock to talk about the budget, other than my meeting with David and the department heads to prepare for that. Will and I have talked about having a joint meeting of the Recreation Committee and the Police Committee to hash out some of the challenges we're having with park and pavilion usage. We will wait probably till the new year we can get through our budget meetings, and the cold season's coming anyway, but some things have come up and we need to put our heads together with problem solving on that, so we will.
Thank you. Streets, public improvements, and lights.
The Streets Committee did not meet. We will be meeting, I believe, next week. I should have this up. 14th of November at 3 o'clock. We'll review our budget for the Streets Committee at that time. And that's the business that will be before that committee. We won't be discussing any other types of business that are pending before streets, such as the water mitigation issues. A brief update on streetlights. We said we had met as Tom Aldorfer, David Lunsman, the mayor, myself, Chip Hallbauer was on a call with us. Progress on that is that Tom Aldorfer has identified the majority of work that has to be done to streetlights. He's collected the majority of the inventory items that are going to be necessary to bring them all up to speed. He's waiting for pricing from a couple of providers, and also he's getting information from someone that we could potentially outsource that work to that would really expedite any damage to any streetlights. In the meantime, we do have some new mantles installed. David might be able to tell us where those are, but they're slightly more cost-effective to operate, a little more lumens, and they are in conjunction with some of the work Duke Energy is doing is causing us to have to change regulators. So Duke is taking care of that. They're providing that material and labor to fix the lights. So they work in conjunction with the new capacities of the gas that will be coming to the lights. But David, maybe you can share where those new dual mantles are located.
Sure. So the new dual mantle gas lights are installed on the eastern side of the tracks. South Troy, Sharon, some other streets in that area that were improved by Duke when they came through and did the gas main work earlier this year. As Mr. Bessel said, the new gas main is a higher pressure, required the installation of regulators. Duke was so kind as to effectively rebuild the internals of all of those gas lights as part of that project, and that includes an upgrade to the dual mantles. So they have two mantles that burn, which put off effectively twice as much light as the original ones did, with the improvement of the removal of the glass chimney inside of the gas light, which was always a headache because it frequently became dislodged or broke or otherwise damaged. So the additional benefit there is that with these improvements to the new lights, we have the ability to potentially expand to triple mantles or even quadruple mantles to drastically improve the light output of the gas lights. Duke will be working on the western side of the tracks next year, and it's one of the objectives of that work and one of the imperatives of that work is for them to replicate the restoration of the gas lights in the areas that they do that work, and then future service contracts or improvements will bring the rest of the lights up to the same level of performance and make our gas lights functional as street lights and safe walk lights for residents.
So, question, David.
Yes.
So, dual and triple. So we currently pay $30,000 in gas. So does that mean it's going to go to 60 and 90?
No, actually, based on the BTU outage or output of those lights, it's marginal between them, and effectively as well, we don't. It's not metered, so we buy a bulk rate. So I don't anticipate our Duke price will change,
Okay.
but we will evaluate our bills and make sure that remains the case.
You knew that was coming.
Yes.
Of course, no good deed.
That's right. Okay, that's it for the Streets Committee.
Okay, thank you. Utilities, please.
Utilities did meet in the past month, and we had a record turnout of residents who participated in expressing their concerns that the new billing, which is the first time it's been done with the new system, brought some surprises, and they came to express their concerns. They were addressed as best as possible in a committee meeting and referred to come to the office and meet with Spencer and David, of which a number of people did come into the office. And that is, I understand it, most of those issues were resolved to their satisfaction.
I wouldn't say to their satisfaction, perhaps, but all issues have been resolved. So
All right, to an agreement.
there you go.
And that's kind of a anticipated surprise or expectations with the new system, because we had to go back and read water meters that had not been read sometimes for a period of a year or more. And that resulted in bills surprising residents who did not anticipate that. We will meet again before the end of November. I have not set a time with Mrs. Duke and Mr. Kreider. We'll set that schedule, and we'll meet then to review the enterprise financials. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to say, David, the explanation that you put out on the weekly newsletter on specific circumstances and everything else was very well done. Because
Thank
I
you.
think it addressed, at least in my mind, why it turned out to be the way it was.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
Spencer has spent considerable amounts of time with a considerable number of residents reviewing the bills and individual usages and those sorts of things. In some instances, locating leaks that we may not have been able to locate because of the ability to see that every 15 minutes worth of usage now with the new meters, but also identifying folks that are kind of surprised at how much a lawn sprinkler actually uses in water. So Spencer's done a tremendous job, in my opinion, this billing quarter, and every billing quarter, working on the billing and working with residents to help them understand why their bill is the way that it is.
David, roughly, just, how many residents do you think Spencer, how many cases did Spencer solve?
I would say...
We in the hundreds here?
No. I would say that beyond maybe a passing question coming into the village office, I would say spending more than 5 or 10 minutes talking to a resident about their bill was, I would say, maybe less than 30 accounts.
Okay.
And that might even be generous.
Out of 1,500?
Out of about 1,100, almost 1,100 or
Okay.
1050,
Okay,
yeah.
that's interesting.
So about 30 accounts that had
Issues.
serious issues that needed to be reviewed, whether they were just usages that folks didn't anticipate or other, leaks or other situations. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I believe that concludes the committee reports, and we turn to the financial reports. We have received two in the packet. One is the September 23rd, 2023 financial reports, and the other is the October 2023 operating checking certification for the payment of certain bills. And then I might just note that along with the police department report came the monthly mayor's court report. So I would just invite a motion to acknowledge receipt of these reports.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I suppose I could have asked for discussion here, but I'm in a hurry. Anyway, now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Yay.